Hey, greetings everybody. Welcome back, actually. I'm recording this just slightly later than my previous video because as it turns out, I woke up, realized, hey, I haven't done a Wotv video in a while. I should probably do a Wotv video. Hey, I did a Wotv video. Oh, look, now there's JP news. Before we get into this, something I'm thinking about starting or doing, because I have a whole bunch of these kicking around. I'm thinking about doing some modeling streams maybe next week. I know I've been really inconsistent with streams. That is my fault, but also, you know, kind of needed a break. So maybe I'm going to take a little break from video game streams for a little bit. Maybe not. Might do some Gunpla building, adding videos over on Twitch and do that. Maybe I'll also do some FF14 stuff. I haven't actually dived into FF14 yet in the new expansion, mostly because of, you know, Elden Ring. Then I needed a break from Elden Ring. Then STG started. Summer Games Done Quick. That's been great, amazing, lots of fun. But yeah, all right. Enough talking about that. Let's talk about the Wotv news that people have come here for. So first off, something that I talked about previously, I'll say it again in case anybody is curious about it. JP has announced the winners of its Reincarnation Festival. These are the top 8 characters that will be getting the bonus from the Reincarnation Festival. Not too much to say here. These are essentially the ones that I thought, mostly the newest ones and the most powerful ones outside of, obviously, stronger characters with Gilgamesh, the new version of Gilgamesh, just being not available on JP yet for choice. Which is a bit odd, because he isn't that new of a character, but I guess they just don't want to feed the meter so much. Either way, there's also just some other stuff here. For instance, Fire, for instance, Soul, the second place. Down here, Ice Howlet, the second for Ice. And it kind of goes on through these. Wind, Glassy, as you expect. Melania. Like you can go through all of these and check out each of them. I mean, it's not too terribly important about who won second place, because second place doesn't really get anything. First place, unless they change something, but I'm not sure of that. And so yeah, Reincarnation Festival will be starting next week for JP, and it's you know, it's a nice little bonus. I'm never going to openly complain about it. But anyway, surprise, surprise, check it out. It is JP news for a new unit coming next week. And before you get up in arms, I might have baited you a little bit with the title card. It's a welfare unit. It's been a good amount of time since we've seen a new welfare unit, and it's something that's very notable right off the get-go is that it's a welfare unit that is a UR 70 cost. We're not even getting SSR UR units maybe anymore. And I think that's fine. I don't really care too much about it. It's just nice to see something free again besides the Veritas units. And this is what I've been advocating for in my other videos, of being like, there's a ton of Wotv characters that just can't fit into the release schedule given how busy the release schedule is. So let's just have some of these out like this, and we do. So fantastic, awesome, keep it up. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this before talking about the other thing here, which is probably more meta noteworthy. But Fencer, Dual Gunner, as well as Axe Knight. It's a combination. She's not going to have a limit burst or anything, and again, it's fine for a welfare unit to essentially be this, so long as she's free to get, free to max, and that's capable of easily being done by the end of the event. I think there isn't anything I really have to complain here. The only other thing I'll note, from this, it looks a little bit like she's going to be an evade unit, because this just screams evade to me, and Fencer is kind of down for that. It'd be cool if she's like that. The thing that I'll be really keeping an eye on for this character is whether she has a newer gen stat board or whether they gave her an old gen stat board. If they gave her a new gen stat board, like the improved ones that Ash and Mont has and the characters Onward have had, then I think that this could be a really actually amazing 70 cost character, since we don't get that many 70 costs, and for cost limited events, could be absolutely worth doing it as a splash character, as a splash evade character that people are expecting. Don't underestimate this girl just because it's a 70 cost welfare. Cool. Alright, but the other thing, the more meta and gacha thing, is the Zaku bird. This tied into the content of, because Zaku's are Gundam related. See, I'm a little clever sometimes. Okay, but jokes aside, this is Garuda, and key point to mention here, of course, it is a holo VC. Basically, all VCs outside of 90 costs are looking to be holo VCs this year. It is a 60 cost VC. It is a job VC, so don't. That means that at least it will have some slightly better rates than most VCs have had here. And this is another CG Esper, which is really, really cool. I'm a big fan of CG Espers. Even if we don't watch them all the time, they're cool animations, and I'm looking forward to having another one in the game. So we'll talk a little bit about the VC first, and then talk about the Esper later and what impact this is going to have on the game. So first off, this VC works for the following groups. Obviously, Kane, specifically to do with Black Mage. It is essentially the Shrekken VC, as you will come to see very shortly. There's not too much else that needs to be said about that. Also works with bows, swords, in specifically katanas, because katanas are swords, technically, as well as spears. Also noteworthy, the party effects up on this: human killer during magic attacks, increase physical damage reduction as range increases. This will also have increase of critical rate, and maxing out the VC will also have luck up. This is also a guild battle VC, so this will be highly PvP related and very, very sought after, I think. Noteworthy here is that granted effect is magic power and single target resistance for this VC. And I think that, honestly, just looking at that, that would be enough. But of course, all of VC's wind attribute attack up by 2, magic attack up by 2. I think that this VC is probably one of the must-gets for the year if you're a magic user. There's so much here that is incredibly promising. Very offensive, yet has a unique defensive ability as well that is very good against most of the meta right now, and a good proportion of the meta regardless. Future. But also it supports Fina in a nice way. It supports Volk in a nice way. It supports the Kane group and katanas such as Dario. I think there's a massive amount of potential across this VC, like not just for the newest character who is incredibly powerful, but a lot of different synergies with really good magic characters. The only way this could be better is if you got essentially rid of, I'm going to say katanas just to be mean, and threw in the sword red mage group. This would be the best VC of the year by far, because you get an Esper, you get a really strong effect across a multitude of groups that would really like this. And shoutouts to for Rush in the wind element too, who will love this VC along with Shrek. I mean, I think this is slam dunk. I think this is one of the easiest recommendations for potentially getting. I mean, even though it is a permanent VC, it just looks incredibly juicy. So summons Garuda, deals wind attribute damage to targets within range, seals barrier destruction for 3 turns, creates a barrier that prevents magic damage to the caster of the Esper for up to a certain amount of damage. So interesting, it gives a magic reducing barrier, which would be absolutely great on a tank. Activates a map effect, powering up wind allies for a certain period of time. Yeah, I mean, this VC is undoubtedly the Shrekken VC, and I expect this Esper to be tailor-made for her. I mean, in general, a wind magic VC, sorry, yes it is, but also a wind magic Esper is really nice to see. I'm super happy to see this. new gen, given how good I liked the more recent Ice Esper VC that came with the Chariot. I'm thinking that this is just going to be the exact same story again for a really strong character. Gilgamesh was incredibly powerful when he came out with the aid of that VC. Now this is going to make Shrekken even more dominant than she already was. This is just looking absolutely incredible. Shrekken might be one of my most recommended characters, and I'm really also want to throw in just a little bit of a comment that I think that either her or Gilgamesh, whatever our next challenge mission, could very strongly end up being related to this character, because she just so much focus around her. And this might be more of an indication of which characters are truly worth heavy investment into. When we see this combination of CG Esper and character, like with Gilgamesh, now with Shrekken, it really is just a sign of what is really, really good. But yeah, coming back in here, because I see on off screen that there's a little bit more news. We have a few extra details, which, again, I want to talk about this first. Is Raid Revival on Mac. Looks to be more focused around wind. I'm pretty sure that Shrekken can probably demolish all of these on her own single-handed if she really wanted. As for other noteworthy stuff, Character Quest 2 will be coming in for Bronwell and Cam. One other character, I think a Fire Fist Fighter, if I'm remembering correctly. Take on that, sorry, but that is essentially what it's looking like. So yeah, the big noteworthy thing, we are getting a welfare unit, which cool. I mean, I won't complain about anything like this ever. I think this needs to happen more often to garner more goodwill, since the Veritas units are a little bit clumsy with how they come out as essentially content fillers for many, many months. But the Garuda, I mean, first off, the Esper design looks really, really cool. Looks really unique. And also, it's just going to be a dynamite combination with Shrekken. So Globalers were maybe looking for a very strong investment. Wind is great, but Shrekken is amazing, as we've covered before, into comps. There you go. That's the news from JP. There'll probably be a little bit more dwindling out over the next little bit to do with banners and whatnot, but I don't expect anything too noteworthy here. More just this is kind of looking very strong. Maybe I should try it for Shrekken one more time. Later.